sitting here trying to plan out today's trip, and it dawned on me when we were leaving the Grand Canyon yesterday that I think maybe we're being a little too aggressive, rushing this a little too much. When we left the Grand Canyon, it hit me that we really should have spent another day there. There was so much going on. There's so much to do. Hiking trails, wildlife, nature, tours, the visitor center, movies, displays, and we missed out on some of that. But that's some of the compromises you have to make when you take a vacation, right? You can't please everybody. You can't spend all your time in one spot. You just got to keep moving. And when we left there, I really felt that. Now, we also were aggressive with trying to get to Holbrook last night as well. We passed through two key towns that I really wanted to visit when I was planning this a few weeks ago. Winona and Winslow. I really wanted to sit on the corner of Winslow, Arizona, do some laundry, read a book, I don't know, do something over there. It was on my bucket list. We had to miss it, and I guess I could thank Spirit Airlines for that. Thank you so much, Spirit. Today's visit is to Petrified Forest, and then from there, we got some more choices to make. There's Roswell, New Mexico, there's White Sands, and there's also a little ghost town out here in New Mexico, about 6 hours from here, where Billy the Kid had a shootout and he was put in prison and all that stuff. So that sounds like a lot of fun as well. So I'm going to talk with these guys. We're going to figure out what the next step is after the Petrified Forest. Oh, and the car's running good. Last night I mentioned that it was kicking and bucking, trying to fight some of the hills. But, you know, I didn't realize that Lake Havasu was 500 feet above sea level, and we climbed all the way to 7,500 feet in just a few hours drive. Hindsight, I should have put higher test gas in it. When we left the Grand Canyon, I just threw 87 in there. I didn't know. So my dad this morning mentioned that higher test probably would have made a difference. From here, though, I think we're 5,000 feet above sea level. It's just downhill. So I'm not too worried about, knocking or fighting the hills anymore. This car struggled on those hills. And I'm going to tell you, all the cars did. There was tractor trailers that were creeping up some of these hills doing 30 miles an hour, just fighting all the way up. We went from 80 to 70 to 60 to 50. We were doing 40, trying to fight some of these hills, trying to get up. So we weren't the only ones. Car was low on power, and I presume that's the elevation too. Thanks, Dad, for the tip on that one. We got a running light out on the back, so I'll stop at a auto parts store and I'll get a new light bulb for that. The check engine light has not come on. I thought maybe it would because I'm smelling the exhaust. It smells like a bad O2 sensor, just the scent of the exhaust, but there's no warning lights on the dash about that. There is the ABS light, and there is an airbag light, and that airbag light's been on since we left LA, so I'm not too worried about that right now. That's nothing new. But otherwise, let's hop in the car and get out of here. So we got just a few minutes down the road. I saw the windshield was splattered with bugs from driving last night. But then all of a sudden I realized Holbrook, Arizona. Look at this. Nothing here. Nothing. Half the places are deserted or boarded up. The Chevron's just in the middle of nowhere. Look. There's a couple hotels, gas station, there's a bar, Mexican restaurant down the street. We're on our way to the Petrified Forest. I want to give a big thanks to Colby, though, at Motel 66. Super nice, super generous, super helpful. He gave us some tips on the Petrified Forest, where to go, what to look for. Apparently it's really big. Can't wait to get there. Let's jump in the car. It's a 40-minute drive. Miles into the Petrified Forest, and this is where Route 66 at one time went through this land. I guess maybe prior to it becoming a park. So there's some old telephone poles you can see that dotted the landscape, boop, 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 all the way down. In 1958, this section of Route 66 was closed off and rerouted, and I presume that's when the park took control of this area. All of this, 120 million years ago, was underwater. Rivers, lakes, streams, And that's the basis of the Petrified Forest, right? When these trees fell 120 million years ago, they landed in the water. And the trees absorbed the water. Whatever minerals were in the water got soaked into the trees, crystallized, and that's what fossilized and also caused all the crazy colors you see in some of the petrified wood. We've gone 18 and a half miles. We're dead smack in the middle of the Petrified Forest. This is one of the lake and river basins. The sheer size of this park, incredible. No one prepares you for the size of some of the things out here. The Grand Canyon, this is the equivalent to the Grand Canyon. It's probably an offshoot of the Grand Canyon, how it all was formed. Incredible, just incredible. It's another example of, I wish I had more time. Wish I had another day to spend out here and just take it all in. We only had so much time to spend at the Petrified Forest before we had to jump in the car and get back on the Route 40 and start heading east again. So we left the Petrified Forest. It was maybe 45 minutes ago, so we're maybe 50, 60 miles away. Check out this. Fort Courage, that's what this is called. It's in a town called Holbrook, Arizona, Navajo Nation. This was built in the 1970s as a replica to the TV show F Troop. I've never heard of it, but sometime in the 1960s there was a TV show. It was more of a comical thing. It took place out west somewhere. And this was built as a tourist attraction in the 70s to cash in on, I guess, the name. So you have an old Wild West fort. And this was shut down. Oh wait, check this out. Got horses out here. You got horses out here, it's kind of cool. So F Troop was a TV show that ran from 65, 66, and 1967. This, however, is a replica of the fort from the TV show. Now, this replica had no affiliation with the TV show, and for some reason, the attorneys of the TV show didn't appreciate these guys cashing in on their property. And so the attorneys shut this one down, and the buildings and the property is just sitting here abandoned on the side of the road. I don't think I'm getting any stickers for the car here. This place looks like it's been shut down forever. So let's get on the road. We're on our way to Gallup, New Mexico. Gallup, New Mexico is a little town a lot like Holbrook was. We stopped in there specifically looking for a Route 66 museum. We didn't see one, but we did gas up and get a bite to eat and got back on Route 40. We're about an hour west of Albuquerque. We're going slow. It really is slow. This is some wide open country. I just had to water a cactus over here, so I just lowered the fire hazard rating for this area by a little bit, I hope. Hours and hours of driving, and this is all you get out here, man. It is nothingness out here. But I think that's what draws me to this area so much. All right, back on the road. All right, we made it to Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Population 2,400. It's about 70 miles or so beyond Albuquerque. We didn't make our goal. Our goal was Roswell or White Sands, and we're still 2-3 hours away from there. And I was racking my brain as to trying to figure out why my time estimates aren't working. I mean, I'm following the map and the Siri, and it was funny. My wife reminded me about the time zone changes, but also, you know, driving Route 66, it takes 3 times as long to get anywhere versus Route 40, right? Route 40 cuts through hills, right? They just demolish the hills and pave right through it. while Route 66 meanders around it or over it, and obviously the speed limits are a lot slower too. As a recap from today, the Petrified Forest, that was interesting. It was shocking how big, the sheer size and scope of that park. It's massive. But where's the forest? Where's the stone trees? I was looking for them. Now, granted, we only had 2 hours to spend there before we had to get going, and you need 2 days there. There were trails everywhere, and I suspect, you take these trails and it gets you to, to the money shot of the Petrified Forest. But we didn't see it. But the size of the park, incredible, just simply overwhelming. And the park had 2 park-owned hotels on the property. They look more like bed and breakfast or some kind of like community type of apartment setup. It was kind of cool. I'd love to get back there and stay a little bit. We stopped in Gallup, New Mexico, which was on my bucket list of places to stop at. What is that? What is that? Is that a wolf? I don't know. So we stopped at Gallup, New Mexico, which is on my bucket list. And it was hotel after hotel. It was all vintage 1950s stuff. I got new bulbs for the taillights on the car, so I got them in. Everything's working fine with that. So it was fun to stop in Gallup. And then we just blasted through all the way to Santa Rosa, where we're at today. The geography was interesting. When we left Holbrook, it was exactly what you imagine desert to be like, right? Flat, sand, goes on forever. Going into New Mexico, right? Jagged rocks, twists and turns, elevations, high and low, all over the place. And that continued right up to where we are here in Santa Rosa. Tomorrow's plans, was either Roswell or White Sands, but I found out there's a cenote here 3-4 minutes away from the hotel, so we may run over there and check that out. The problem is the water is 60 degrees all year long, so I don't know if we're getting in, but I definitely want to get over there and check it out. Apparently this area is known for lakes, a lot of lakes, and it's a big recreational area also. So it's kind of interesting. I love to spend a little time around here, then get to Roswell or White Sands on our way to Waco, Texas. All right, so that's the evening, that's today. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bam.